All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Pledge allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I was thinking starting.
Yeah, I can announce that kind of after I said it. I was like, yeah, that's kind of bad timing. All right, minutes from last week.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, motion made by Teresa,
Second.
seconded by Steve. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Any public comments right now? Sure.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Bruce Kimical from Caledonia. Last evening at the P&Z meeting, the commission meeting, they voted to recommend a new CUP for Bonanza Grain and Sheehan Mine, just to the southwest of the city here. I would suggest two items for your consideration. Number one, a phased-in reclamation operation as the mine pit expands. The new permit is asking for just a little over 17 acres of mining in the next 5 years. I suggest that every 3 acres, in addition to what the mine pit floor now exists, that for every 3 acres that they expose beyond this point, they need to fill in 3 acres. For the simple fact that we all know that in this karst region, the way to protect groundwater aquifers is to keep a filter on top of the land, and that's called soil. And when you remove all that overbear from the sandstone rock layers in the sandstone, since we don't have an impervious layer of rock between us and the aquifer, any pollution that falls into the pit will get down to the aquifer, whatever that might be. A gasoline spill, an oil spill, whatever other chemicals they might have there. And secondly, I think you need to set a performance bond.
Thanks, Bruce. Sarah.
Good morning, Commissioners. I was also here, Sarah Wexler-Mann, Yucatan Township. I was also here last night for the Planning Commission, and I'm going to request a more personal side of things. What I observed the Schraders were requesting last night was two things. One, that they felt that the replicated blast, didn't in fact replicate it. According to her, she said that it was the least amount of blast she's ever felt in all the years that she lived there, and wanted to know why that was. And the second thing that I heard her say was that her relations with her neighbors over this, the mine neighbors, is through. You know, whatever disagreement has been happening has made it so that they're not friends anymore. The Planning Commission did in fact renew the CUP with the expansion, and basically said that, well, the reason the blast wasn't replicated was due to science, you know, maybe wind direction and, you know, that, and, you know, as far as the neighbor relations, that wasn't really addressed. Not that, you know, you probably can, but what I would suggest is that when this CUP comes before the board, that you look at how to make the Schraders feel like something actually happened for them. You know, like the blast they don't feel was replicated, and the solution that the Planning Commission, the contingencies that the Planning Commission placed in there was that, one, they would have a seismograph on their property, and two, that the neighbors, whom they now don't get along with, would try to call them 24 hours ahead of time. So try to call, I think you can say you must call and let them know so that their grandchildren will be safe out in the woods. And second, the seismograph, how do the Schraders read that? They rely on either the neighbors of the blasting industry getting in touch with them with those and describing what those seismograph readings actually are. And then if the Schraders feel that that impacted their property, it's not with their neighbors, they sue the Chicago blasting. I feel like the Schraders came to the board and to the planning commission with legitimate concerns, and we're kind of, I mean, I think that you can do better. I think that when it comes before you, I think you can add some more contingencies to make them feel better.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Brian.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Let's see. Unfinished sand issue updates. The only thing there, we have Jay's gonna call next week. I had a call from Will Suffolk from the EQB, called this last weekend just to see what was going on with the Erickson's mine right now.
From who?
Will, he's the
Oh,
head
okay,
of the
good,
EQB.
okay.
And wanted to know what was going on with the Erickson mine, and I said, nothing right now. You know, they proposed it, but we're gonna talk to Jay about it and stuff, so I said nothing as of yet.
Next week.
Yeah, 26th at 10. So, the only thing I got going there.
I had a call from a citizen that'd like to be on the agenda next week to make a statement about the Erickson mine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, Jesse?
Yeah, I do, and I already spoke with her and said there's a policy that public has to go through certain channels, or you have the
What is
public
the
comment period.
policy?
We have the public comment?
They're under the opinion that if they get a board member to say it's okay, they can.
No, because we already made that policy that we're gonna have the public comment period. If you have any
Yeah, I asked
greater
the
concerns, you
individual,
come to
you
a
can't get
commissioner or
into
to a
minutes.
department head.
And if they can't get in 2 minutes, then they feel like they can't state their statement in 2 minutes.
Yep. Yep.
There is no other venue for them to speak.
Well, and here's the thing, you know, and we went through this, and I know we have a tendency to have short minds, but we went through this with, you know, when Chuck was here, and it was every 20 minutes, every meeting, and then, you know, you start getting into this now, data is getting leaked that's not accurate, then we get calls from other counties and other state entities saying, this isn't right, this was said, you know, so that's why we had put that in place was, you know, you go through a department head or you go through your commissioner, if you've got something, you have your 2 minutes, you can definitely write a letter or something, but go through the channels due to the fact that it's a board business, you know, county business meeting, you go through the proper channels. And I spoke with that individual and they were fine with that.
Okay.
And the fact that, you know, I know when somebody wants to speak, it's okay that you get 20 minutes, but then when your adversary wants to speak, well, we can't let them speak. And, you know, so to be fair to everybody, then the meetings drag out for 4 or 5 hours and it happens every week. And so I know that's why we put that in place the first time. But
I got a same type of call yesterday for about 45 minutes
It's about
about
the
it.
second or third time this year that somebody thinks that if they talk to the commissioner,
That they can
get
get-
on the agenda.
Yeah.
well, that's why, you know, it's no different than going to a Senate meeting or something like that. You know, you go through your representative. They don't just allow you to come in and everybody off the street come and write. You know, I mean, go through the proper channels and we'll bring it up and get it solved. But yeah,
Okay, no, thanks for taking care of that.
yeah, I talked to her. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I had a gentleman call me about the same situation, and I did say you could talk during the public comment period.
Yep.
He also is going to write a letter to the board,
Yep.
and that'll go on file.
Yep.
And I said, if you want me to bring up anything for you, I can do that too, so.
Yep. Exactly how it
And
works.
that's,
And it's in our book, in our
yeah,
county board policy.
Is it?
yeah.
Yeah, so
It's
it's
online.
just,
Oh, it's online too. Yep.
it's also on our
Okay.
website.
I just want
Yep. Oh.
Yeah, they brought up the same thing, they go to a lot of meetings where they're allowed to talk at, but, yeah, this is our policy.
the one thing about public comment is we do not comment on
I know.
it. I don't know if they feel like they're getting, if they have a question, they can't get it addressed.
Hey, Justin, this person also brought up that you get copies of emails from this person and attorney from Minnesota Sands,
I have not gotten.
and I said, I would think you would forward them if you did, and we
Yeah.
haven't gotten anything.
No, I haven't, and actually somebody just brought that up to me the other day, that somebody had gotten an email from somebody there. It said, what do you think? And I haven't seen it.
Okay,
So I have no
they
idea.
brought me
I've
up,
heard that too.
they brought it up to me too, that you're getting the copies of them and we
I haven't
haven't.
gotten a copy
And I
of it yet.
said you would forward them.
Yeah,
so-
if I had, I'd forward it, but yeah, I haven't gotten that one yet. Because I
Okay,
had a couple people ask me about that, and it's like, I have no idea, I haven't seen it yet.
okay.
So, and Will said that too, he said, well, I've got some emails or whatever, and I said, okay. He goes, I'm sure you're familiar with them. I said, I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, there's something going on then
Mhm.
out there, so.
Yeah, yeah.
If you do get anything,
Well, Will said he's gonna send some emails and touch base next week, so. we'll see.
Okay.
So if I get something, I'll
Well, we
forward
have
it.
some questions for Jay that we have.
Yeah.
Has everybody thought of questions?
Well, no, I'm sorry, not Will. Jay said he would have the emails
When we
for
talked
us.
to him on,
Yeah, I would assume he's sending it this week since he's talking next week, but he said he's gonna forward some stuff over, so.
we need that information ahead of time because some of the stuff brought up I knew nothing about.
I'm in the same boat you are.
in the dark.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, I was kind of, yeah,
yeah. If I get something, I'll let you guys know.
involved yesterday, so.
Yeah, yeah, I'll let you know. So. Highway Department,
You two meet with the, did you? and-
Not yet, but Brian is trying to wrap up for the winter
yeah, kind of all the,
things, a lot of things.
as you can tell from him coming in every week, he's getting it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, we'll get there. Courthouse, nothing there either.
And that's December 3rd is when we're going up to Winona on that
Yeah, to
hearing.
do the deal. Any reports from this last week?
I have a couple. Of course, I was at the planning and zoning meeting last night, and it was a very late night. Judy was there also in the audience. We got out about 10, didn't we?
Yeah.
And there's a couple of concerns that, at the end of the meeting, the last thing on the agenda was they talked about term limits again. And I have some concerns too, that this whole process is going too fast. Everything's getting, like, I don't understand the emails that are going back and forth.
I have no idea.
About the interviews, you and Jamie.
I haven't emailed Jamie.
You and-
Oh, you mean the email where,
On the interview process.
sure, where we had just
And
asked if we're gonna
I
have
guess-
all the board,
I
if
guess
it should
I
be
never
open
got-
or not for.
I didn't know anything about this interview process. I understand that last week during the committee meetings, you were talking, you were supposed to bring up to us that we were gonna do the interviews. And we didn't hear anything of that.
Okay, hold on. I'm 100% confused. At the board meeting, all of us were talking and talked about if this was gonna be all the board members and interviewed, should you have an open meeting or not? And so Shar had contacted Jamie and said, should we have an open meeting if all the commissioners are here, or should it be closed because you have people coming in to interview
I don't remember.
where you can have private data? So that's what that email was
I don't
going
remember
back.
that part, Justin.
You don't remember talking about that?
No, I don't either, actually.
Yeah, and we were talking about it at that meeting, and we
It
said, should
wasn't
we do
at
that?
the
And you said,
board
oh, I'll
meeting.
contact Jamie. Yep, it was sitting right here, because I would look at
Then
Sean.
why isn't it in the
Yep.
minutes?
I don't know, I
I looked
don't
at
know.
the minutes, I didn't see any.
Well, there's a lot of things that don't get put in the minutes, but we're sitting right here, because we talked about that. Yep. Yep.
I feel like it's getting,
Well, let me ask you guys this, let's clarify something.
yeah, let's
What-
talk about it.
In the ordinances, it says it's up to the county board, basically, ultimately it stays up to the county board. Do you all want to have say in it or not? That maybe it should be first and foremost, do you all want to have say in who,
Well, I think
who's
as a
on?
board,
On who we
we
are
always have
required
done
to.
that.
Okay,
Yeah, it's in there.
yep, good, so we all agree that we all want to have say in it. So that was kind of the question, for the applicants that apply, obviously, we would be the ones making the decision on it. So do we do that in an open meeting, or do we have a,
That's the way we've always done it at the, when we go through our appointments, we just make a decision whether to appoint or not.
Okay.
We've never done interviews.
We've never done interviews.
no, and that's something that if you know, we've,
And I
well,
don't
I
think
shouldn't
we
say
need
that.
to.
We've never had the ability to do that with this, because everybody just keeps getting upped for 40 years, so we've never actually done that.
That's just one committee. If you set the precedent for one committee, Are we gonna have to do that for every committee?
I don't know. I don't know many other committees that are.
What about the
100 hours and have
Board of
decision
Adjustments?
making.
Are they included in that?
Well, the Board of Adjustments gets, we don't have,
We don't, are we gonna revamp that too?
well, all it says there for the Board of Adjustments is that the Board of Adjustments will follow the same bylaws that the planning commission is. Basically what it says.
So they've been on there a long time, someone.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you guys don't want to do interviews, I mean, that's fine. You want to just have them submit a paper and without really knowing who they
I don't see any
are.
reason to do interviews. I think then we would have to do them for EDA, we'd have to do it for extension. I mean, we could really open up a whole bunch of processes that we've never done before. We can, if we have an application or interest in being on a committee, I mean, even EDA, Kelly put in a request to be on EDA and we just approved it.
Yeah. Have we ever had it where you've had multiple people though? Like how does that happen if you have 5 or 6 different people?
Usually we're scrambling trying to get
I was gonna say,
people
trying to get
that are
enough is-
interested.
Sure, but I'm just saying, how do you handle it if it goes the opposite way? We should probably have that.
Well, with this application, we can see what their interests are, or, you know, we'd have to make a decision.
Sure.
I don't really see any point in starting interviews.
I think you might want to interview, I mean, case by case, I think. If you get some applications, there might be a point where you want to, gee, I'd like to talk to this person a little bit
See,
more.
I would
Not
agree.
seeing, you know, something or missing something.
And I don't know, you know, I'm not gonna know everybody that comes in
Yeah.
that, how do I know Adam from Eve and you can write something nice on a piece of paper, but.
Somebody might look good on paper, but
Right.
really sucks.
And this is a big thing. I mean, yeah, EDA's big, but they're getting paid a lot of money to make big decisions that affect everybody. It's a little bit of a different animal than a normal
It's
committee.
kind of a controversial
Right.
position to be in.
Very. So I think you treat it a little bit differently than all the other
I
committees.
hate to lose all the experience of that board within 3 years, too.
Well, that's another thing. You know, I've heard that a lot, which I think is kind of really a poor statement. When
Well,
you've got the board here, that we have to not only know the ordinances, state statutes, budget, personnel, and yet we've had total turnover in less than 3 years. And we could have total turnover again. And how the board's set up, the Board of Commissioners, who, it's even bigger than the Planning Commission, it's set up staggered 3 and 2. So every other term, you're gonna have a possibility of the majority of the board being off. So you can't really say one without the other. I don't, you know.
You know, but I've sat on that planning commission, and there's some real history there that.
Well, let me ask you this.
With
Do
the
you
land.
think the Planning Commission is more difficult and knows more than our job?
They know their job.
Right,
You
but
know,
the
they've got,
question is,
you know.
basically, they have to follow a 178-page document.
Mhm.
Most people can read 178 pages in a day or two. So my question is, if somebody comes in for a permit and you have an open book test, does that warrant having 12 years worth of experience to be able to do that? We don't get that opportunity, yet we have a lot more responsibility, but yet we can be turned over every 2 years?
Of course, we spend a
Yeah.
lot of time getting ready for a meeting, and really going through everything, you know.
Well,
it's
absolutely,
a-
absolutely, but I guess the question is still the same.
Mhm.
We have turnover, they have turnover, what? Okay,
It's just,
so I guess
it's
I'm.
too bad that the previous boards didn't.
And that lies
They
the
should have been
problem.
removing these people, instead of having it all come up at once like it could
And that lies the problem, and that's why we're at these crossroads.
Well, how did they get
That
those?
It should
Did
have
they
been
not,
that way.
did they
They
Did they ever
approved it.
consider who was on there and say, he's been on there a long time? I don't think they ever had a time when they had a meeting.
Well, if you look at the majority of the board members came and went, so they don't know the difference, you know.
Yeah.
And that lies the problem, I mean.
The ordinance they had should have worked, but it never, it failed.
Correct. And it failed because there were no stops put in place.
That's right.
You know, so now you're there, you're at the crossroads.
Do you
It
think,
might be kind of a crappy
Do you
first
think
couple of
doing
years.
this, what we're
but-
gonna do now is gonna give us, are we gonna have some problems with a complete turnover in 3 years?
do you think we have problems with the county board with a complete turnover in 2 years?
P&Z.
I know, but I'm asking the same question. I mean, if
Oh,
it
you're
works in this
asking, yeah.
scenario, does it work in this scenario? I mean, if you're gonna say, well, we're gonna have problems with the planning and zoning, then you're admitting that we have problems in the county board, since there's been
Some
complete turnover.
might say that.
I was gonna say.
And you might. But now we might have this board for the next 12 years, and you could say, oh, we got all this experience, great. But there's gonna be a point in time in which there's gonna be turnover, okay? You know, and it happens in any department too. You know, you might have 4 people that say, hey, we took jobs somewhere else, you have complete turnover, what do you do about it? Well, you deal with it and move forward. But I'm very confident, and Craig, you can write this down, that there are plenty of people in the public that are interested that can do as good a job, or maybe better, than what's currently there, given the opportunity. But if you never give them the opportunity, how's it gonna ever happen? So that's my thing, is there's plenty of other people capable of doing this job.
I think
Not worried
sometimes
about
it's hard
turnover at all.
finding people. I know in the township, the
Yeah,
present
hotel
township,
there.
we had to pull teeth to get people to be part of it.
Which is kind of
I
interesting,
don't know
you
if
got
we're
3
gonna be
people
able
that
to-
are interested in just this one position right now, so there's
That's
plenty of
another
people
thing.
wanting to.
I don't think we're gonna be able to have somebody from every district. That part of it is gonna be.
Yeah, that part
'cause what-
doesn't-
That part of it might be hard to fill.
And it doesn't
Thinking
say
more
in the
about-
ordinance that it has to be, in like the current ones, it just says you have to have between 5 and 9 members, but it doesn't say it
No, I
has to
think
be.
we put it in the one from each district.
Yeah, we
And I
did.
wish
It's
we
in
would
the-
have done
Very
that.
well could be.
Yeah, you might not have anybody in that district wanting to do it, and then but you might have a real good one on the other end of the county, and you're not gonna let him in because he's not from the right part of the county.
Well,
Yeah.
I brought that
I
up
think we
one
need to
other
be a
time, it
little
got
more-
shot down.
we need to be a little
And
more
it said, well,
flexible.
we need to have one from each district to make it fair. Because I brought that point up before and it got shot down, so I guess I kind of,
Yeah.
whatever,
It's gonna be
whichever it
hard.
goes, but.
And I as well.
I think we need to
I'm
go
in
by
a
the best
district that
candidate.
We have our own planning
Mhm.
Yeah, but
and
Crescent,
zoning,
they have their
so
own.
Yep. Yep.
Right now, we
Those guys
have,
have good experience.
Sharp point on, we have 3 from District 5 right now,
Mhm.
because that's also the biggest district in the county.
Mhm.
And it has more people.
And it's agriculture. It's one that needs a
Yeah.
zoning.
Mhm. Well, I would say District 5 and District 2 are your 2 biggest districts out there.
I got 2 from District 4 too.
Yeah. There's 1 from 2,
But
but.
we may not be able to follow that.
Mhm. And that was. and I
But
guess-
in order to make an amendment to that policy that it does not have to be one from each district, we would have to have another public hearing.
Correct.
Well, and there's some wording that I talked to.
I mean, I don't think we can make an amendment without a public hearing, right? Is that true?
That's my understanding.
Oh, make an amendment without having?
We'd have to have a public hearing
Oh.
to change.
To
the
make an
wording.
amendment?
Is that
Yeah, I know
already?
Bob had brought that up, there's some other wording, there's another spot there that says, new members must apply by December,
first.
whatever, but Bob made a great point, if you're a new member, you're already on there, it should say new applicants, not members, it should be
Yeah.
applicants.
Mhm.
And I know they're going through that right
That's
now,
true.
doing
Right.
some of the wording,
Talked
and
about
we kind of said, let's just do all of that in one shot and say, we'll fix some of those
Yeah, there's some clerical.
clerical
things.
errors,
Mhm.
yep.
When is the implementation date on that ordinance change?
The ordinance,
When is the date of the ordinance change take effect?
well,
That we done?
it took effect already,
I
when we
mean-
approved it,
For January 1st, so,
December 31st.
or December 31st, I think.
Earlier? Okay.
But
Can I ask for some clarification?
Mhm.
Okay, I've had 3 people contact me that are interested.
Mhm.
Are we using this form that Tess put together? Am I supposed to have them fill that out?
Yeah, and
And
Tess just told me she
I-
got it going just yesterday, so I haven't even seen it yet.
That's the first
so-
I've seen of it
I
today.
gave you each a copy,
Yeah.
I've read it.
Yeah.
and I guess I'm not sure.
Nope, and I think
I
we
guess
should
I
probably
didn't
have
have-
discussion and see if you like it first
Yeah.
before we.
The other thing is,
It asks for
Jamie
it.
had mentioned we should maybe advertise. Do you want me to advertise?
Yeah, I guess,
Do you?
That's something that probably should be done.
and I think it should be done anytime somebody's up, let people know that.
Mhm.
Okay, and if I advertise, do you want me to say that there only applicants have to be from District 2, since we're replacing the only person who's on District 2?
Well, here's, I guess, how I brought it up the first time, a number of years back, we were talking with Bob and stuff about it. Ideally, yes, it'd be nice to have it from each district. If you don't have enough, you go to Plan B. If somebody applies, you deal with what it is. I mean, we encourage you to apply from these districts, but you have to.
We would want somebody from rural areas, I think, versus, within city, because city has.
Their own
basically
zoning.
Their
Their
own,
zoning,
yeah,
yeah.
they have their own, and maybe don't have an understanding of what rural is about.
Well, you could
I think
advertise
everybody,
that.
Should
everybody
some of
should
this
apply, and then we
discussion-
can decide if a district matters that much.
should like,
We can have it on file.
Say that
should
again,
Rick
Dan?
and Dan, or Rick and Bob be in on this discussion as we're,
Rick should, for sure.
They could, I mean, we're ultimately decision makers, so what,
Right,
you know.
I
but
think
the
Rick
more
would like to
input
have-
that you
Rick has talked
have,
to
the
me about
better
having
decision
input.
you can make.
So Dana, what were you saying about?
Rick has talked to me about like, he'd like to have a little input on this, because he
Okay.
will be working with the new people. He's a part of that.
What were you just saying though, a little bit back about?
Oh, let's just take all the applicants and develop a file. We can go to it and say, well, it'd be nice to have from that district, but if we don't have any, we just fill in with the best person.
Well, yeah, and I think that's, you,
Because I don't want anybody to say, well, I'm not from District 2, I can't apply.
The
Right.
ordinance
I'd like
clearly
everybody
says
to,
that-
everybody that has an interest, like you said, Justin,
Mhm.
should apply.
yep, yep.
But the way the ordinance is
I
currently
know.
written,
That's part
we're
of it.
supposed to have from each district. So we do have some.
We do need to target an area.
We need to
Well,
make an
that's what
amendment to
I
that
think we
policy.
Yeah, we're held to that responsibility. We try.
'Cause you don't need.
Right.
Try
to
and see where it goes.
Right, Steve, you're right. Yep, I agree.
And then plan B.
Another question, when are you planning on making committee appointments? I know there's been some talk about wanting them before the end of the year. We used to always do them, the first meeting of the year was our planning meeting.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
We've always done them that first meeting in January.
Yeah, but I know Judy brought it up that she'd rather do the committee meetings.
My big thing is,
At the
I
end of the
want
year.
to know the employee evaluations. And
That
I
was a
think-
big thing.
Yes,
yeah.
it-
And I think that if we look at, because there wasn't this kind of turnover for a long time on the board, they didn't have to address a lot of the things that we are. But we go to the AMC to get trained as new county commissioners, but we don't get the local stuff. So I think that we should make our local people as familiar with local things before you take office. So you know what you're doing, instead of coming to the first meeting of the year and you're doing committee appointments and saying you're gonna be on them. Whereas if, I mean, I didn't even know what committees there were. So, but if you knew that before and knew some of the process, I mean, there were just a lot of decisions made the first couple of months of being a new commissioner that I felt like were decisions that you should have had a little more knowledge before.
And I agree, I think the evaluation should have been done at the end of the year, not the beginning of the
Right.
year. Because even when Teresa and I were on, okay, you had the majority of the board that were there, but I had no idea what they
You
do.
didn't know
Like,
who they
what are you
were.
doing?
Yeah.
Now, with the
That's
committees,
exactly.
the committees that don't necessarily have an issue being the first of the year,
No,
especially if
No,
we've
I
got,
don't.
you know,
No, I
a
would
new
agree.
commissioner
No.
that's not gonna take office till the first,
Right.
but definitely the employee evaluations be the end of the year.
I agree with
And I
that.
think that we really do have to, before the next election, have something set up as
Like a
policy.
training thing?
A training
Yeah.
thing here. So you go to the AMC one, then you come back here and you do a training. And then, you know, like probably Shara and one commissioner that wasn't elected that time would train them before the first meeting.
Yep, I think that would be
You could get
advantageous.
incumbents back too, and you wouldn't need.
Right, but you should still have the policy in place before the election.
So for 2014 committee appointments, we want to do them the first meeting in January?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
let's say that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, same.
Do you want me to advertise
For the,
for the planning commission?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
I really think we should.
yep.
Okay.
I think we should throw
But
it
do you
out there.
want to put it as a public notice that people can apply, or do you want to put it under jobs to apply for?
Oh, you mean in the,
In the paper, you know, is it going to go under, this is a job opening?
If it
in
goes under
Houston
jobs,
County?
then HR's got to take care of it.
Right,
Tess has kind of stepped back from it, told me she thought I should advertise this one because it's not specifically a job, it's a committee.
right, so I think it should be under public notices
Yeah.
and not under
Job.
looking for a job.
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, it'd be just a normal notice that Charlotte would do.
Do you want me to advertise that they should be from or have to be from Commissioner District 2?
I-
No.
No.
Ideally,
Well,
maybe ideally from
Or do you just word it and say, we encourage those people from District 2 to apply?
something along
Yeah.
that line.
Somebody
Yeah,
else
we
does
can
it, then we'll
apply,
just-
yeah.
right, so
Deal with
that
it.
we're not saying we won't take them from other areas,
Yeah, but we just encourage
but
those.
that,
Yeah.
that's the area that we're
Emphasizing.
emphasizing.
Sure.
Okay.
I think you can say something like we're trying to generate a file of people interested in.
Well, no, I think that we
Possible
just
jobs.
put in that there's going to be an opening on the planning commission, starting January. If you're interested in this position, please fill out an application with Shar.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And and then maybe put,
You can put under that, we encourage, maybe say we encourage those people from District 2 to apply.
Oh.
And then if it's another one, you say we.
Most
encourage
people
those
don't
from
know what
5 to
District
apply.
2 is though.
Yeah.
That's
That's
why I
true.
brought
That's
it,
true.
yeah, I would have to list what cities
Yes.
and townships.
Until I got out of the
that
county,
can
I
be
didn't know what
that
district
can
I
be
was.
a priority on our looking at them, is that
Oh,
first we
sure.
look at
I still
the,
don't know where I'm going.
District 2.
Okay, so, okay, I see where you're going. So just pool them in and then we just kind of say, okay, you're from this district, you can kind of categorize it?
Yeah, right, we do that, not
Yeah.
putting it in.
Is there
You
township
could
on
say
there?
to them, you know, somebody might say, why didn't I get it? Well, I said, we could be looking for
We
something.
can figure it out from there.
Specific
Right.
district.
Oh, you can,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Because if you put township, it would be easier to figure
It
out.
would be, it would
I
make
think
it
so.
simpler.
Most people don't know.
Yeah,
Honestly,
yeah, a lot of people don't know.
On the upside.
Or just be somebody just, you know, maybe sound
Although that
fringes
might
of
be
the district would work.
So, but I mean, I don't
It
think
would
that
hold
we,
more weight with us than where they're from.
do you guys think we need to, does that sound okay, how to word it? That's
What
what
do you
we're
think?
looking for?
We were talking.
Somewhat vague. Me.
Well, just say, we,
Just
just,
that
there's an
there's
opening and we
going to
encourage
be
you
an
to apply.
opening on
That's all you
the
do.
Mhm.
planning
Maybe we'd say
commission.
ideally the member would
Yeah,
be from one of
encourage.
these.
Yeah, encourage
Cities
or
certain
townships?
districts, yeah.
They won't know where they're from.
Well, but if you put it that way, those people that know, they know,
You
and those people
list-
that don't, they want to apply, they apply anyway.
Mhm.
You know, you can just put, we encourage those from District 2 to apply. Hey, I'm from this, I'll do that. Or
District
somebody else
2.
might say, I'm not sure where that is, but I'm going to apply.
No, District 2 including this township, this township, this township, this township.
Commissioners,
We
it's
want-
pretty easy to go on the website and see where the district lines are.
Yeah.
And if you're that interested, you'll know, you'll
Certainly
find out.
not.
Yeah.
More information.
Correct, correct, yep.
Very easy to do.
Yep. So.
All right. So,
So we're putting what, that we want, that we're encouraging people from District 2?
Mhm. I'd say yes.
Or do you put it like that whole generic clause and say, we have an opening from District 2, we encourage all those people in District 2 to apply, but all applicants are welcome.
But then we're gonna get, it's gonna get sometimes
Too
the
many?
more information you put in, the more
I don't think-
confusing it
Yeah.
gets.
Just keep it simple.
So if we,
I think we should have not put anything about districts in the policy at all.
And we can change that. you
I
know.
think we, because we need people, we could use a business person, we could use a farmer, we could use a
And
township
we're-
supervisor. I mean, we could use a lot of people, and by putting them in a district, really
but
could limit
really,
us.
right now, the person that we're replacing
Is
is from
District-
District 2, and that's where we need to
Emphasize.
emphasize. So I don't think we have to look to what every situation that could come up. Let's just deal with this one
Sure.
here,
Yep.
and then we'll get our policy settled better once we work on the zoning.
Mhm.
Because at that time, when they have that public hearing, that's when we would address
Yep,
and clarify what was
The
written.
term limits.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
So that
So I
way.
think that, we've got the right moves going. We've got the term limits going.
yeah.
We're doing everything in the right direction, but
We need to fine tune it.
We need to find.
we need to fine tune it, and as hard as it is for me, as hard as it is for me to realize, one of the biggest things I've learned is government really does move slowly, but I'm learning that there's a reason.
Right.
It's frustrating sometimes.
It is.
Yeah.
But there's a reason, and that's right there on my
Yeah,
learning curve.
We were hasty in some of this.
Okay, well, I will get the ad out
That's what I
then, and we'll
We were hasty.
use the application form.
Sounds good.
Cool, thank you.
And everybody likes that application form, you ready
Yeah,
to do
I
it?
think it keeps us out of trouble, there's
That's-
no data
that's
practices,
good. Yep.
violations in there, it's a good thing.
Okay,
Very good.
so,
Do we
And
need
when will we
a,
make a
do
decision?
we need any kind of motions for
How long
any
is
of
it
this
gonna run?
stuff?
How long is the ad gonna run?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And we'll make a decision at the end of the year?
Well,
No, actually, the first meeting in January.
First meeting in
Okay,
January.
just clarify.
the other thing
But
is,
what we- Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Steve, I was just thinking about this when you said that, what we could do is have the applicants, if you have, say, multiples, like, let's just say, for instance, okay, you get 5 people to apply, and you get it narrowed down to 2, you could, I suppose, at that time, bring those 2 in and say, okay, now we need to decide between both, you know what I
That's my
mean?
thinking, yeah.
Do the
screen,
pre-application.
screen, yeah.
Yeah, screen,
Mhm.
yeah.
And if you've made a decision, fine. If not, we want to talk, you talk.
Yep, yep,
Just kind
And
of,
that's all through the process that we
Yeah.
go through.
right, exactly.
It may not even.
It might not come to that.
be that.
Mhm.
Right.
Would that be a good time to bring Rick in with us?
Yes.
He'd have some
He should
questions
be
that we
part
don't
of
know
it too,
about.
yeah.
Well, and that's when I would do that, if Rick or Bob or somebody
I think
can come
so.
in with us, 'cause they're gonna have some questions
I'd like
too.
to introduce Rick.
And you might do it if you get narrowed down. And if you only have one person, then you don't need to go through all that rigmarole, but if you have multiple people, we may do that.
Yep. I think we're getting there.
Will you
Good.
We're
please
getting
make
somewhere
sure
now.
that that goes in the minutes that the board is
Yes.
wanting to involve Bob and Rick in the final
Yep.
process?
Yep.
I think that's really important.
I don't know, you're going fast.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, that was in my committee report.
That's a long one, man.
Sorry about that.
Data.
Okay, Teresa?
I had 2 meetings, I had EMS and workforce development, and mainly budget talks because they're going through their audits right now. Things are going well. So,
and I just had SimCAC board last night.
Anything happen?
Money cuts, sequestration.
that's hurt us the
Yeah.
most too.
I had 3 meetings last week. We had personnel, which is good that we're meeting. And then I had Bluff Country HRA on Wednesday, and that was really interesting because you learn a lot about the financing options out there and what we're trying to work on to try and make, like, always it's been the American way, people go towards buying a house, but that trend is taking a turn. People can't save the down payment because they're paying for their rent. It's just a whole new twist on housing issues. So we're looking at possibly researching helping with down payments on homes, as another way to help people get in. We're also talking, there's grants that we're waiting to find out if they've gotten approval. One of them is the one for the city of Houston, which will be huge for the city of Houston. It's redoing, putting money into 15 houses in Houston to bring out to where they have to be. And they have some really good things, like it can't be a rental property, the taxes have to be up to date, and they can't be behind on their mortgages. So they have all these safeguards out there, and yet, there's gonna be people who qualify for it, and it's gonna be great. It's kind of like what they've just finished the approval of in Preston, of the Vesterheim, where they're redoing an apartment building to keep it low income. And then they're also doing so many houses in the town to keep them up. And it all gets back to, we need to try to keep the population in our county, especially the younger population, so that we get kids for our schools, so our schools will be better. It's all that stuff that we need to do, which falls into my meeting on Thursday, which was tourism. That was the Southern Minnesota Tourism Committee meeting, and that was really interesting in ways to bring people into the area. And it kind of goes into like all these things wrapped together, like it wraps in with zoning last night as they're talking about the mill in Wilmington. What tourism can do to your area and how you need to be prepared for it and welcoming for it. And then discussion was being had about, drawing people from the cities and making your area a destination, and about using like Facebook and things like that to promote your area, which right now we're not utilizing all of these things. And to make our county grow, we have to have things that draw people in. And so as we're wanting not a certain industry to come in because it could destroy what's here, we need to promote what we have and the natural beauty, because that's the thing that's really going to draw people here. And to hear what some of the other areas are doing is incredible for what they do to bring people in. And they some of the counties have a lower population than us, and yet they have a person designated to making sure the tourism comes into their area. So it was very interesting.
And you hit it on the head too. I mean, that does tie into this whole industry.
Right,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
instead of being all, instead of just putting our attention to the negative things, if we put half of that energy into the positive and bringing more people into the area. And then at one of the meetings I was at this week, they were also talking about, you know, the destination stuff with Mayo Clinic and making housing in this area more that people want to come into our area to live, and then they commute to Rochester. That could be huge. It could be huge for our whole county if we would emphasize, you know, getting our housing improved in our county, showing through the tourism part what a good place it is to live. And in the same time, it helps our schools because we'll get more people to move into the area. So you got to work in a positive way to get all of that stuff to happen. And you know, it's a vision, but it's something you could really do with just generating some positive energy throughout the county. So there's a lot of exciting stuff that we can spend time on too, and it's a great way to network with other counties for what they're doing. And there's another one of these meetings in March which I want to attend to. I want to go to again so I can make more of these connections. And our EDA person, Rick, was there also. And so it gives us, because we talk at EDA about drawing people into the county, and tourism comes under our EDA, which it does in a lot of the counties that we were at this thing. The tourism comes under EDA in a natural way. So it's pretty cool.
Excellent. Cool.
So that's my report.
The only meeting I had was, had a meeting in DC with the former president, Abe Lincoln. I just went over there this weekend. I was gone all weekend. I was in DC and Pennsylvania, so I had nothing going on. Anything else? Last thing, approved claims, human services, and license center disbursements.
Move to approve.
Okay, moved by Steve.
It just was a lot of money, but I'll second it.
Yeah.
Seconded by Judy. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. We have human services now, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So do we adjourn this one?
Yep. Motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Okay, moved by Steve.
Second.
Seconded Dana. Any discussion?